Go ahead.
Thank you, Jen. Just following up real quick on this legislative stuff. Yesterday, the president blamed Republicans for blocking his agenda, called them obstructionists, but he admitted that he hadn't reached out to any on the issue of voting rights. So now, given where things stand with these two bills, will he be reaching out to any Republicans, seeing that this bipartisan effort on the Electoral Count Act might end up being the only game in town on that?
Well, we don't accept that, but I will also say that there has been discussions between Democrats and Republicans for months now about voting rights legislation. They have been invited multiple times, a part of the conversation, reached out to, engaged with. 16 of them have supported the protection of voting rights legislation in the past and declined to do that this time. They are not uninformed about exactly what this legislation would do, and they've always been welcome to be a part of the conversation. They decided not to, and I think that's important for people to understand.
Real quick question on crime, then I want to ask about Ukraine. Ahead of the president's meeting with the mayor's conference tomorrow, some of the biggest headlines this week have been the New York City woman being pushed to her death in a subway, the woman in LA being murdered allegedly by a career criminal. I saw this morning that you went on TV and reiterated the president's position. Yes, on Fox. Thank you for joining us. That he wants to fund police and make clear that crime is something that this White House takes seriously. But you guys have not weighed in on the actions from these prosecutors. So why hasn't the administration weighed in on some of these new policies from DAs who are downgrading certain crimes or refusing to prosecute certain crimes, given that it could undermine some of these broader efforts that your White House is making to show that it takes crime seriously?
Well, one, there is a law enforcement component and a justice component of the federal government, right? The president has been crystal clear, I think, and almost every time he's spoken about this, that he believes that more needs to be done by local leaders. We're going to support funding to ensure they have that, whether it's local cops programs or other programs to support surge response teams, as we're seeing different kinds of crime in different parts of the country. And that will continue to be what he advocates for. But I wouldn't expect he's going to comment on or engage in every local law enforcement action.
Moving on to Ukraine, bipartisan members of Congress from several different committees this week have been told in briefings that U.S. officials believe Russia is likely to invade Ukraine, despite this continuing narrative that Putin has not made up his mind. They're saying that satellites, signals intelligence, and human intelligence is all telling the same story. What they're seeing and hearing is about to happen. And the president's comments last night seemed to corroborate that to a certain degree, where he said, "My guess is Putin will move in." So why wouldn't the U.S. introduce sort of level 1 sanctions as proactive deterrents and then remove them if Russia de-escalates?
Well, one, I said 2 days ago, we're now at a stage where Russia could at any point launch an attack in Ukraine. And we've been pretty transparent about what we're seeing, both in our briefings, but also in our engagements with all of you and in our conversations with our European partners. I would note that this morning the Treasury Department did announce sanctions on individuals who've engaged in influence activities directed by the Russian governments. This action was part of our ongoing, long-standing efforts to counter Russia's network of influence efforts and to expose Russia's dangerous, threatening, and ongoing campaign to destabilize Ukraine. These individuals are at the heart of Russia's destabilizing campaign in Ukraine, and we stand united with the Ukrainian government. We are not waiting to take action to counter Russia. We see what they're doing. We are disrupting it. And these actions are also, of course, separate and distinct from the broad range of high-impact, severe measures we and our allies are prepared to impose in order to inflict significant costs should they invade.
The president said he thinks Putin will test the West. Isn't that in some way already happening? And why are we spending this time debating what to do after an invasion rather than mitigate the risk of one in advance of that happening, especially because this buildup is already causing economic consequences for the U.S., having to send additional aid? Shouldn't the threat of an invasion also carry serious economic consequences?
Well, I just referred to Treasury sanctions we announced this morning, right? We've also provided more assistance to Ukraine than any year in history, including defense assistance. Those are. But again, what we're making decisions on based on decades of experience the president has and decades of experience of our foreign policy team and through consultation with our partners on what is going to be the most effective step. President Putin is going to make the choice he's going to make. Either he's going to decide to invade Ukraine and suffer severe economic consequences, or he's going to decide to engage in diplomatic discussions. It's important to remember who the aggressor is here. The aggressor is Russia and Putin. They are building up military troops. They are pushing out misinformation in Ukraine. That's who we need to keep our focus on and make sure we're educating the public about their actions. Go ahead.
Where did deliberation wondering whether when mom comes and picks them up, is she not going to be there because an ICE agent was there to arrest her? Or she takes him to the doctor, that she's going to not be there because she is, quote, undocumented, and an ICE agent is going to pick him up.
So how do you change the culture?
You change the culture by saying you're going to get fired. You're fired if, in fact, you do that. You only arrest for the purpose of dealing with a felony that's committed, and I don't count drunk driving as a felony.